Yeah.
I still have hope for Sam Harris.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah, I hope he makes a comeback. So.
I mean, he's not really going away. He's just got some weird opinions.
Yeah, well,
but
there's plenty of that floating around.
Well, I think when you have like complex, fascinating brains, they go off in all kinds of different directions. Don't you think?
This is one of the dangers of being creative, right? Most creative ideas are wrong, and a good section of those wrong ones are fatal. But now and then you get one that's necessary. So.
Yeah, we were talking about the Twitter files before we got rolling and what the new stuff is. So the new stuff has something to do with AI and some sort of content moderation?
Oh, yeah. Well, Tabby released some Twitter files today on Twitter, obviously, and they're going through the code. Now, I don't understand the technical details, but, you don't exactly know when you see the output of a code-generated system, exactly what rules it's using to sort the information. I suppose that's the equivalent of shadow banning. And there was apparently all sorts of directives built into the code to amplify certain kinds of messages and, de-amplify others. And so apparently Musk is doing what he can to clean that up. Rubin reported that the other day. Yeah. And then Tybee today, he was talking more about the whole Russian collusion fabrication.
Yeah.
So that's also real fun.
Well, how about the one guy that was going after Trump, who it turned out was actually in collusion with the Russians?
Oh, yeah, that's a rough one. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the best defense is a good offense, and so... I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
I know.
But
we're in a crazy world.
Why would anybody not think that was going to come around to get them?
It's amazing how often people don't think that, what they're doing isn't gonna end up aimed squarely at them.
Well, this Twitter thing, right? Like, they never suspected that someone like Elon was going to come along and buy Twitter and then, in an unheard of tactic, have a bunch of journalists review everything in all of their Slack meetings and all their emails, look under the code, look under the wiring under the machine and find out how it was actually running. And the fact that anyone would ever think that any of this stuff is a good idea, that people don't understand, like, the dangers of censorship. They don't understand where this leads to. Yeah, well, we're seeing a little bit of that emerge on the right now, which is kind of frightening to me. So I'm an admirer in many ways of what's going on in Florida, with DeSantis. But him and Rufo, who I also think has got a bit of a clue, are trying to, what would you say, limit or even ban critical race theory. And the problem with that is you can't define it, right? Right.
So how do you control something you can't define? And the answer is you battle it out on the battleground of ideas. Because as soon as you start to try to define it and then try to censor it, well, first of all, that's just going to grow because that's how those things work. Like where does critical race theory shade into Marxism? Well, who the hell knows? Where does Marxism shade into socialism? Well, that's an even harder question. Then where does socialism shade into, just being on the side of the working class? Well, all that's fuzzy beyond belief. And so once you get to the point where the government has to step in and regulate, say, what education systems are doing, you're already in deep trouble. And because I don't see how it can really be done. Because I can't define critical race theory. More or less you can get some sense of the cloud of ideas that's associated with it. But trying to draw the lines, how are you going to do that? And then, of course, you enable, inevitably, no matter what your goal is to begin with, you're going to control a certain form, let's say, of pathological communication, misinformation. That's just going to play into the hands of people who like to censor, and that's just as likely on the right as it is on the left. So, no, it's a real dangerous game.